So the key to executing plans in life is to have a plan in place for how you're going to execute it, which is why Greg McKeown wrote this book, Effortless. And in the book, he has an acronym for you to use to remember the steps for planning out how to plan your endeavor. So maybe, for example, you have a project that you've been working on for years. It's been backburnered and is now gathering dust. Well, if you implement this acronym as your foundation, you may find yourself getting around the roadblocks. So the acronym is DOGG, D-D-O-G-G. Now, number 1, D, done. You'll want to visualize what it actually looks like tangibly once you have finished that project, because when you have an endpoint, it becomes easier to take the steps forward. After you're done, you'll want to implement delete. Which steps can you delete from the process? Because sometimes we'll start figuring out all of these extra details and all these extra steps along the way that make it just seem impossible to get to the end. But if you can delete the unnecessary bits after identifying them, it'll become much more easy to move forward. Part number three is obvious. What is the obvious first step? See, the problem a lot of people run into is they want to start with what seems like it might be obvious, but it's actually 2 or 3 steps ahead. So if you can identify the obvious starting point, which, if you're making a movie, maybe it's making a script instead of trying to find the costumes. Or if you're writing a song, maybe it's figuring out a melody or learning how to play the instrument before finding a producer. Find the obvious step and take action, because action begets more action, and then mood follows and the inspiration. So take steps first and move forward. On to G, gradual. Gradual is essentially distinguishing the rate at which you want to progress. You see, because you don't want to be taking on too much all at once or more than you can handle. That's why they say when you're trying to establish habits, you want to make it so small that it's almost comical, that it'd be impossible for you not to do. That's why finding the pace that you can go, even when you're running a marathon, if you're thinking, I'm going to run it all. No, that's the bad example. Now, skip that example. Go on to that one next. It's like if you have to walk 30 miles in a month, would you dread it more if you're doing 1 mile a day or 2 15-mile days? That's a better example. That's why gradual steps forward. Don't take it all at once. Break it down to bits and pieces, then move on from there. And the third one is G, finding gratitude. Whether it's towards your friends, family members, coaches, mentors, just having the gratitude that lifts you up. Because when you start thinking about the negative, that's when you start throwing in the towel and saying, no, I'm done. I'm not going to go any further. This is it for me. Back burner, dust gather, no more project. So if you can implement these steps of DOGG, again, that's done, delete, obvious, gradual, and gratitude, then you may have the foundation for getting your projects done. Because I oftentimes will push things to the side and they get put into a box. But if you do even put them into a box, at least label the box and put down the idea so the idea isn't gone forever. I think I read somewhere that somebody does that. So that's the suggestions for today. Greg McKeown, thank you for writing the book. I haven't personally read it all the way through, but it's good information regardless. Now, thanks for tuning in. Doodles.